Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this month's monthly inspo prompt video. I'm not going to do a video every month when I post prompts, but this month I really wanted to. So it is February 2024, and let's call this video, I have no idea what I'm going to do, which is actually a lot of the time the way that I start. And it's also a way that we can make a lot of discoveries, especially when we're using new materials to experiment and play with. And so I'm always quite happy to experiment and play in front of you all, because I know that that will help you to move through any doubts you might have about yourself and your own ability to create art. So what I want you to see when I'm doing this type of thing is that things don't always work out. Sometimes I'm confused, sometimes I'm doubtful, sometimes I want to throw in the towel or throw the piece in the bin, but I very rarely do, because I know that I can also use if it's on a decent piece of paper, I'm going to use it, right? Even if I have to paint over it or make something else out of it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today, because I found this sheet. I don't even remember where I did this little drawing. I must have just been messing around. I'm not attached to it at all. But I kind of like these little flowers here. And so it gave me the idea that what I might do for this month's prompt, which involves little Santiago here, this beautiful little deer from Mexico, is instead of putting him in a cactus field like I did the last couple of times several years back, I'm going to put him in a field of abstract flowers today. And instead of working solely in acrylic inks, I want to add in some new materials, not completely new. I've been working with them for a while, but I'm learning how they all work together and which ones work well together, which ones don't. And I can only do that by experimenting. Sure, I can read about it, I can look at other people using them, but there's nothing quite like doing the work yourself and actually figuring out with your own hands, the whole tactile experience of figuring out what works and what doesn't work, okay? So I'm going to pop Santiago up in front of me, and there will be a reference photo with this post, so you can do your own little Santiago painting if you like. And I'll just tell you what I've got in front of me, but I don't know if I'm going to use everything that I have, right? So I've pulled out some colors that I think I might want, just based on his coloring, because he is got some neutrals in his legs, some coral and some olive green and some brown and kind of a yellowish beige, and then he's predominantly hot pink and purple with these colorful little horns. I might not stick to this completely, but we'll see what happens. So I've pulled out a few Neocolor brush pens, and I won't go into the colors until I figure out what I'm going to use, and then I'll tell you the colors as I use them. I've got some whole bean acrylic gouache, which is one of my favorite materials that I've been working with for a little while now. I've got a few oil pastels, just cheapies over here, some brushes. This was a hot pink paint that I picked up in Mexico. The brand is Pinto. I've never seen it outside of Mexico, but it's divine. And then I've got some Neocolor 2s from Caran d'Ache. So I've got a few of those. And then I've got several inks as well, from De La Rowney and from Amsterdam. So let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. So what I want to do first is I'd like to get a base drawing in, and I want to do it quite freely. So I don't want this to be tight. I want it to be very loose. I don't have an actual picture in my mind of how it's going to be, because like something like 5 to 10% of the population, I have something called dysphagia. Is that what it's called? I can never remember. I think that's what it's called, where I don't actually see pictures in my mind. So if I close my eyes and you tell me to see a picture of Santiago, I can't do it. It's just black. and I can't visualize what things might look like either. It's just black and sometimes just kind of colors depending if there's sun or that type of thing in my mind's eye. So I think that's why I paint, to kind of create things that I can't see in my mind. Okay, so I'm going to start with I'm going to put him a little bit kind of 3/4, and I'm just going to start with a loose continuous line, and I'm going to use this yellow ochre because I want, do I want something bright? Let's see, let me just try. Or let's see, or I could go with this one here. Oh, that's, I can hardly see that at all. Choices. Oh, this one is a little, no, you know what? I'm gonna go bold. He's a bold deer, and so I'm gonna go bold. All right, so I'm just gonna start off. I'll probably have him, I want to have some room for the flowers. I'm ignoring her completely because she's going to go away. So let's do a little tail up here. And as I said, I'm going to do continuous line drawing. Just looking at what I see, not worrying too much. As usual, it's bigger than what I expected, but I'm going to go with it. I might not be able to fit all of his horns in. Let's see. Let's just give him a smaller neck. We won't make his head as large because I want to fit some of those horns in. Here. It would be a shame not to have any at all. Alright. This means his tail's going to be up here, right? Not down there. And come down here. Little leg in the background. And then let's just do a suggestion of flowers, where they might be. Just keeping it nice and loose. And I can do all kinds of things over the top. We will see what happens. Alrighty. First thing I'm going to do is lay down some pink paint in his body, and I'm going to go straight in. Actually, I'm going to use this one. Yeah, I'm going to do some of this one. If you don't have this brand, you can use any fluorescent pink or hot pink. And I'm just going to pop that in there. I'm not going to be precious about it. And put down a little bit of pink under here, and then we can add some purple in later. Okay, because we're working with the pink, let's pop it in his legs too, and we can do an overpainting with some other colors. Okay, that one away. So that was the Pinto brand, and it was a neon pink. All right. While I wait for this to dry, and clearly the face is still going to be seen in here, which is interesting, but I'll do another layer over the top. I'm just going to pick up the next thing. Let's see. I want to add some contrast in here straight away. So I'm going to use Antelope Brown, bring in a little bit of floral, symbolism, and I'm going to get a bit crazy with the neo color down the bottom here. I just want to get some color in. So get some greens going. With the neo color crayons, you can activate them with water. So I can have some of it as a pencil, or sorry, as a crayon mark, and then I can have other areas that I actually blend. So I'm just kind of wanting to fill these colors in around him. And I also feel like those front legs need to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do another layer of pink. This time I'm going to do it in acrylic gouache in the ochre. I'm trying to work in a way that's kind of fast and free without being kind of crazy, you know, like without just messing everything up. I want to leave a little bit of that line, the original line that we started with, and I'm going to give him like a little foot, even though he doesn't have one. Let's see what we can do up here. Wow, she's really strong, and this paint is quite transparent. Maybe he's going to have to live with a face in his body. All right, let's come in with some purple for his neck and head. What I want you to be aware of is that, well, first off, his ear is going to be in the wrong place. I want it over here somewhere, but I can paint that on top. So let's just do this. I want you to be aware that when I am doing my own work, especially when I'm playing and exploring like this, I try not to let myself get into let's make his, sorry, let's make his face a little bit smaller, and then we'll do something else with that. I try not to let myself get into a state of judging the painting at all, or the drawing. I know that I'm in play mode. I know that I'm trying things out. So it's just a waste of energy, a waste of time to judge what I'm doing, right? Okay, what I will do though is if I make a move somewhere with one color, I'll try and bring it around somewhere else, and that way things will start to tie in together. Okay. Let's do something up here. All right, I want his ear to be in this color, but I'm not sure that's going to work over the top. No, it's not. So what I'm going to do is first up, create a little diversion here so that we can see that that is where his face ends. So using a golden yellow near color here. This one that I used was, I'm just trying to remember to say what I'm using, jade green. And then I'm going to put the things I used in front of me so that I don't forget, so that I can make a list for you lovely people. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This is a beautiful near color purple, and the other one was a violet, a purple violet. So the difference, this one looks more red violet actually. Okay. I wish I had given him more room for his antlers, but I didn't, and so it is what it is. Having said that, because this is an exploratory practice piece, there's nothing to say that I might not do it all again, right? So that's the other thing that I really want you guys to kind of think about, is that just because you do something once doesn't mean that you don't revisit it. And I promised you that each time you revisit a subject, it gets better. What you do gets better because your brain kind of has a memory of it. And so because it remembers, it just somehow it just does it better the next time. Okay, just picked up a russet neo color. And then this green that I was using earlier, it's one of my favorites. And the color, I don't know, I think it's olive. I can't see it anymore on the paper, but it's olive. Okay, now I'm just going to move this purple around a little bit with my brush. So with these neo colors, you can do that. They're water soluble. And so you can move them around and get some beautiful effects with them. So I'll do that again with some of the other neo color that I've used in the flowers. But I'll be mindful not to do the same thing in every place. Let that dry a little bit before I bring in the ear in the place that I want it to be. Okay, what else? So I think I'm going to use this for the ear, but I just need that to dry. And I do want to kind of cover up the distraction of that face. So what I'm going to do is try a bit of rose violet in the acrylic gouache. And we'll just give a little bit of variation to the color in the body. You can see I'm being quite messy with my application of paint. This one is dark green. And I'd like there to be a little bit of color. I don't want the background to be white, so I'm just going to bring in a bit of this color that's on my brush. Is not pure dark green that I just picked up. It's actually picked up a little bit of the pink as well. So it's actually creating quite a nice little color. I do want to leave a little bit, some white between. So I don't want to like cover everything up. Let's try that again. Sometimes you make a color and then you're like, oh, now I don't know how I'm going to do that again. So let's just see. Let's put this in some other places. Pick it up, pick up a tiny bit of that pink, because I think that's how we made it. And, oh, different. That's okay. We're gonna go with it. I will bring some other things over the top of this background, but I just want to kind of get rid of most of the white. I could also mix a color, or I could bring in, let's do this. Let's bring in a bit of Payne's Grey. And that'll really make it pop out. But we'll put some, let's put some Jenkins Green in the golden fluid next to the Payne's Grey. And let's create a little bit of a deeper background in some areas. So mostly Jenkins Green, a little bit of Payne's Grey. Ooh, a little bit goes a long way. And let's just pull this, look at that. It looks almost black, but it's not black. It is Payne's Grey with a little bit of Jenkins Green. Being very mindful about leaving some of the white around the image. And when you do that, it just gives a little bit more life to the piece. I'm just doing this at this point just to get rid of that white, create more of a background that I can kind of work over the top of. But you'll notice that I didn't do it right at the beginning, because then we wouldn't have had this, all of this kind of imagery with the white space around it, which does give it just, you know, a different kind of energy. Does that make sense? Sometimes I wish that I had a formula, a magic formula. Sometimes I wish that I could just sit down and go, I know exactly what I'm going to do, and jump in and do it. But like, I've been painting for 20 years and it hasn't really happened yet. And I think it's because I'm too curious about new things. So I'm always getting new materials, and I get a little bit bored if I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So like, I have series that if I was to continue working on my Sacred Waters series, in that series I pretty much know what I'm doing. Same with my little owls, you know, if I pull out some paints and decide that I'm going to do owls today, then I do know what I'm doing. But if I did the same thing all the time, I would get so bored. And that's why I just like to mix it up and to learn, to try new things, to make mistakes, and to learn and grow. I don't know, what about you guys? Are you in the learn and grow camp, or would you rather find something that's tried and true and just stick with it? You know, we're all different. There's no right or wrong way. It just is what it is. It's what makes it so special, isn't it? That we all have just different ways of learning and doing things. Still working with this Payne's Grey and Jenkins Green. I'm not even, at this point, I'm not even looking to see what it looks like. So if you're watching this and you're like having some kind of judgment around it, that's funny, you know, because I'm just looking at each little spot that I'm painting, and I'm not looking at the whole thing at all. I will do that once I finish getting the backgrounds in, and I'm going to let go of some of this imagery here, and then just leave a little bit as well. I don't want it to look like the stems are coming out of him. All right, I think that's good. Let me turn it back around. All right, I'm enjoying how it's looking now that I'm looking at it. I'm liking what I see, and I'm going to get in his little ear, and I'm going to do it in ice green, which I think will stand out nicely. So let's do this. I'm going to do it. I'm mixing a little bit with the purple, which is actually pretty cool. Then I'm going to add some of that, of course, into the garden. So you can see here that even though I have pulled the darker color into the background, that I still have a nice amount of white space, which is important to me. I always like to have a bit of white space. Just using my bamboo skewer to scratch into those flower designs. And while I've got it in my hand, I might just take the skewer and add a few little embellishments. I think I might have to pull some pencils into this as well to get these tassels happening. And let's see. I'm still a little bit in two minds about this face, but let's not think about it just yet. Got a little bit more of this ice blue to use. Pop it into his eye. Whoop. And trying to remember to put everything that I've used into one side. Payne's Grey. Okay, what can I do here? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna see if I can give him I'm gonna make him a bit of a furry reindeer. So I'm gonna take this light rose acrylic ink and I'm going to just do a little bit of fur. This is a total experiment. I probably shouldn't have done those tassels first, but let's just see what happens. Oops, clean brush necessary. Remember that if you do anything with acrylic paint that you don't like, you can paint over it again. Well, this is kind of playful. It's kind of cool. Let's give him a shaggy tummy. And that does push that face back a bit more, right? All right, so I'm going to just run this along here. Nice. And then maybe we'll just make it a little bit like a little bit of a bamboo skewer line to bring some of those brights back from underneath. Okay, happier with that now. And let's grab this one. Yeah, let's grab this one and we'll just do a little patterning on his leg here. Just something a bit different. Still a little bit wet. Okay, this one, I don't think these are going to work over the top. I don't think they'll do anything, but let me just see. Nope, nothing there. This one, let's see. It's supposed to be light, right? What do I have in front of me? But it doesn't, I don't have to stick with what's in front of me, do I? But I feel like it, well, Maybe we'll make that one completely in the light pink. Or maybe, let's do this. I'll put a little bit of golden yellow. And if I put the light rose over the top, that should go kind of more of a coral color. Or at least something will happen where the yellow will mix with the rose and create something a little bit different. Ah, very nice. Yay. Leave a little hint of that hot pink. I always like to leave a glimpse of what was underneath. That's nice. And then while that's on my brush, I'll add it into a few other places. Picking up a little bit of that hot pink that's still there. and adding that in to a couple of places as well. Let's bring this jade green and pop a little bit more foliage in. So it's going to be a riotous garden, lots of overlap. I'm going to add in a little bit of white gel pen around his eye and just grab a few pencils as well. Sometimes if the paint is a little wet underneath, it might be a bit tricky to get the gel pen to work. In those cases, sometimes what I use is just a white acrylic ink, and I'll apply that with the bamboo skewer. I'm going to take a Holbein pencil in sepia and add in, oh, that's not going to work on top of there. Oh, it does actually, yes, it's working. A little smile, a little line here. Few places he has some stitches. He's got some really cute little stitches along here in like a hot pink. So I think I might just do those with this one. And I actually like his head to be a little bit of a different color to his body. At the moment it's looking fairly much the same. So let's pop a touch of deep magenta. Happier with that. And while we have the deep magenta, I'll mix it with some of the white that's on my palette, and let's make sure that we have a flower on top of every stem that I've added. I think I'm getting pretty close. See whether there's any room for pencil here. It might be that I actually have to wait because I think that this is not dry enough for me to add in too much pencil at the moment. I'll do something here. And I'm mindful that I don't want to overdo it. So this would be about the point where you would kind of start to think to yourself, is it enough? And maybe just back off a little bit and just take a moment to think about how much is enough and whether you might be close to going overboard. So it's easy to kind of overdo things. So I think I'm pretty happy with this guy. As I said, I can't really bring much pencil in. There's a couple of things that I still want to do. I'd like his ear to be a little more aqua, and I could do that with the Neocolor, or I could do it with some more ice green, but not until this is completely dry. And I do want to get the little pom-poms, these little pom-poms, a little bit better articulated, but I don't think I can do that either until I want to do that in pencil. So until I can actually get this a little bit dry, then I think I'm just going to have to stop here. And I just also want to do a little bit of work on his eye, which I can probably do in pencil also once that is dry. So what I will do is I'm going to let this dry, and then I will post when I post the video, I'll post the finish painting as well, and I'll just let you know in the description what else I did. Sorry, can't help myself. You should know by now that when I'm talking about wrapping up, I'm actually still looking at what I might want to do. So I'm going to stop right now and let it dry, and then I'll just do some tiny finishing touches, not much at all. But I hope you've had fun watching, and I hope you've learnt something about being okay to be in a place of exploring, experimenting, playing, and that not everything has to be an amazing piece. I'm pretty happy with this little guy. But again, you know, I was just playing, and I've learned some things myself. So all in all, I think it's been a really successful little exploration, and I hope that you enjoyed. Okay, bye for now.